May was an exciting month with our budget, with some really high highs and net worth gains, as well as some overspending on some budget categories. And today I'm going to break it all down for you in this May 2021 budget report. Hey guys, I'm Marissa and welcome back to my channel. Here on my channel we talk about life and money and how you can enjoy life while still accomplishing financial goals through the use of a budget. So if that sounds like something interesting to you, then you can scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any new videos. Today I'm breaking down our actual household budget to show you all of the ways we spent or saved every dollar in our budget this month, as well as a net worth update, which I'm pretty excited about. But before we get into it, I want to let you know that the budget template I'm using is one that you can get yourself on my shop, so I will have a link to that in the description box below. It's an instant download, works in Excel, Google Sheets, all the things, and I hope that that'll help you with your personal budget if you're getting started. So without further ado, let's get into this budget. So the first thing that we have of our budget is the income section. I have Jacob's income and my income individually blocked out, and to share a little bit about this. To preface, we are a family of three. It is myself, my husband Jacob, and our son Peter, who is a year old, and we live in Portland, Oregon. So my husband Jacob works in marketing, and then I actually am finishing out a job. I shared my June budget with me video, and in that video I shared that I actually recently quit my job. So I did get paid for that in May still, but that's going to be phasing out. So I did work 5 hours a week for an employer doing accounting, and I did that like after maternity leave. And this was the same employer that I worked for before I went on maternity leave and had my son. So I do have a paycheck from that as well, but I have that just blocked out for privacy for our employers. But this is going to be the last time I will be showing you individually my business income. So I make money from everything that I do here on YouTube and social media. So this month I paid myself $4,500 out of that. Going forward, now since I quit my employer job, I'm also going to be blocking out what I'll be paying myself out of my business to be a bit more private and discreet with that. So this is the last time you will see this. Otherwise, it'll all be just blocked out and combined to show you our total household income. But $4,500 is what I paid myself out of my business this month. So as a total income, we brought home $83,91.90. This is after taxes, insurance, 401k contributions, all of those sorts of things. So we use a zero-based budget, which means all of our income equals all of our money out. So now to show you where we spend every single dollar in this budget. First thing we have here is our tithe. So we are Christians. We believe in tithing and giving to our church and other organizations. So we gave $841 this month to our local church. Next we have is Africa New Life. We sponsored 2 children in Rwanda with Africa New Life, and that is $78 a month. And then we support an additional missions organization for $40. Next we have is our mortgage, and this is the last month that we're paying this high of a mortgage, which is exciting. So our mortgage payment this month was $2301.75. And I shared this in the June budget with me video, but we actually were able to drop PMI on our loan, which was a big goal that we were wanting to accomplish this year. So we were paying about like $80 a month on PMI, private mortgage insurance, because when we initially bought our house a year and a half ago, we didn't have 20% down on the loan. But now, thanks to some crazy market appreciation that we've seen in the last year, as well as doing a couple like renovations on our home, we were able to get a broker's price opinion on our house, and someone came out, took a few pictures, and then came back with an estimate of what our home was worth. And that amount, less the loan value that we still have on our house, ended up being more than 20% equity. So therefore we got to drop PMI. Yeah, we're really grateful. So this last month it'll be $2301, and then going forward it'll be like $2220, I think. So I'm excited to not have to pay that extra cost of PMI. So next we have is HOA. So we live in a neighborhood with the homeowners association, and that is $121.46. Next we have is water sewer. This month was $88.58. And then natural gas. This is what we use for heat in our home as well as cooking, and that is pretty low right now because we're getting into summer months. So $38.40. Then we have trash. Trash we pay every other month, and this month was not a trash month, so we didn't have to worry about that. And next we have is electric, which was $54.44. So electric then is everything that we have, like leaving the lights on and keeping things plugged in. yeah, those sorts of things are all on electric. So that was $54.44. Next we have is internet, and I now updated this, but our internet cost is now going to be $44.99 each month, which I feel like is pretty decent for internet. Then we have our phones. This is for my cell phone and Jacob's, and that is $109.59. And then our car insurance for our 2 vehicles is $109.64. So actually pretty close there. Next we have is life insurance. We have a life insurance term policy on myself and my husband Jacob, and that is $52.89 for the both of us. Next we have is groceries, and this is where things got a little crazy. And there's a couple of reasons for that. So first off, I budgeted $350 for groceries, and we actually spent $487.85. That is so much. I don't think we've ever spent this much on groceries. There's a few reasons of why this is more. First off, May actually had 5 weekends. Let me double check. Yes, May had 5 weekends. We always do our grocery pickup on Sunday, and there ended up being 5 Sundays in May. So that's why this ended up being a little more than usual, is because we did grocery pickup one more time than we normally do. So that's a contributing factor, and I should have seen that when I was budgeting. Also, we now have a 1-year-old. He just turned 1 in the month of May, and he eats a lot more solid foods. Like where it used to be that he'd eat, some purees and things, and then he'd have more milk. Now it's mainly basically all solid foods. So our grocery bill has definitely gone up because we have another member of the household who eats food, and I swear that some meals he actually eats like more than I do. So this is definitely an increase in our grocery costs, as well as, I'm sure you guys have seen this too, but just the price of groceries is going up. There's a lot of staple items that are increasing in price. So I am updating our budget for months going on. I think I'm going to update our grocery budget to be $400, which seems like a lot because I think last year this time we were spending like $250, like I guess before my son was born, when it was just like Jacob and I. But since we've had a baby and all these prices have gone up, we're definitely spending more on groceries. But overall, I feel like we're still spending a lower amount on groceries, so relatively speaking, so I'm not that concerned about it, but we're definitely over budget this month on groceries. Next we have is eating out. We also went over on eating out this month. We budgeted $100 and we spent $134.24. I don't know about you guys, but we're starting to get out and go to more restaurants, and we are really excited about that. It's been very enjoyable, and so we just went out a few more times than what I guess we had allotted because we were so excited to get out into real life again. It's been really nice. Next we have is gas. Also way over. We over doubled this on gas. We budgeted $40. We spent $89.63. So we had kind of budgeted $40 a month, which is basically one fill up on our car because my husband Jacob works from home. I stay home with my son and also work on my business. So we're home a lot, but we do, get around here and there, like around town. We ended up having to fill up the car twice this month, so we ended up spending $89.63. Also, you guys have also noticed this, but the price of gas is going up, so I'm going to be updating our budget amount to be $50 a month on gas because of that cost. Next we have is fun. We budgeted $50, we spent $57.55. One thing that went into this is the zoo. We got a zoo membership a couple months ago, but we have to pay for parking every time we go to the zoo. So that just was included in here. And then honestly, we had like an additional eating out thing, but it was like with friends or something. And so I just included that into fun because we were way over on eating out and I thought I'd just put it somewhere else. And so added it here. Next we have is Peter's birthday. So like I said, my son just had his first birthday. We had a party for him. It was so wonderful. It was so needed. It was great to see a bunch of friends we haven't seen in like over a year. And because like having my baby at the beginning of the pandemic last year, like everything was canceled. No one got to see him. I didn't have a baby shower, like anything like that. So I just wanted to be able to have the freedom and the permission to like have a really fun birthday for him and just include that in our budget. So we budgeted $500. We actually spent $372.84. So this is what we ended up being under on. And this basically just included everything that we bought for the party because we didn't really buy him a gift specifically because he has many things that he's received from us just because he like needs baby things. So this was just like food, decor, all things for his party. It was $372.84. Next we have is our Peter line item. So we actually put $50 a month into a brokerage account that is in our names, but we plan to gift it to our son Peter eventually. We would love to be able to help him with like purchasing his first car and maybe even a wedding and down payment on a house. So we're just saving $50 a month into a brokerage account that when the time comes and we feel good about it, we can just like write a check out of that or whatever and pay for those sorts of things for him. So next we have is miscellaneous. You always need a miscellaneous category in your budget because there's always random things that come up. And we also went way over on this as well. So we budgeted $100 and we spent $187.96. Guys, I've budgeted $100 for miscellaneous for a few years now, and it may just be time to increase the miscellaneous budget. I feel like more recently I've just been over budget on so many things, and there's many things like in our budget that, you know, I'll change for different months depending on what we have going on, but for the most part the framework is pretty much the same month over month, and I try and set this goal of like we'll only spend this much on these certain categories, but the prices of things are just increasing, and we also are a family of 3 now, and I think that it may be time to increase this. So maybe I should start increasing miscellaneous to maybe like $150, which seems like a lot, but I keep going over on it every month. And this is where like you still learn more about budgeting as you go on, and it's never going to be perfect, but you've got to take what you learn and apply it to the next month. And I always say that, but obviously here I've been overspending on these different budget categories, and obviously, like, I feel like we're still really intentional with our money. It's not like we're going crazy on it. And also I feel like we need to be able to allow ourselves the permission to spend on some of these like fun things. Obviously, like eating out, we want to be able to do that more. And that's what I love about budgeting, is that you can just plan for things that you want to do. You can give yourself the permission to spend just by including it in your budget. So I feel like I need to just take my own advice in this and just increase our budgeting categories a little bit here. I'm always hesitant to do that because I don't want to give into lifestyle inflation, because our income has gone up fairly significantly, I'd say, in the last couple years, and I'm so grateful for that. And I always wanted to like stick to living the same way, and I feel like for the most part we have, but I don't think we're giving into lifestyle inflation per se, maybe a little bit, but more just inflation that's occurring throughout the country right now, and we just probably need to increase our budget to account for just the prices of other things going up and not necessarily the lifestyle inflation. Although I will say that looking at the way we live our lives now compared to the way we did 5 years ago when we were paying off debt and making like $66,000, like back then we didn't like do anything for ourselves. We didn't do like anything fun really. And so I think it's okay for us, like at the point we're at now, to be able to do those things. I just need to include it in the budget. So anyway, I wasn't even planning to share that. I feel like that's just a little pep talk for myself and probably some things that I need to change in our budget going forward. So $187.96, which was quite a bit this month. Next we have is college. We put $200 a month into Peter's $529 college savings plan, so we moved that over. Also, we had some lovely people who generously gave to Peter's college fund as well for his birthday, which was so sweet. So we also received those additional contributions. I also just love the idea of being able to gift someone, like just, I know it sounds maybe weird, but just giving like money to go towards the child's future. So I'm really excited about that. Next, okay, so the grand total, we spent $5,460.81 on money that went out of our household this month. So now to show you our savings section of the budget, which I love because I love working on saving money. And this was all the money that I therefore am keeping track of like in our bank account, basically. So we have our budget amount, our actual, the money that got spent out of that fund, the beginning balance and the ending balance, and the percentage of budgeted income. So first off, we have our emergency fund. We have a 6-month emergency fund of $20,000. It's in a high yield savings account. I do have this in a separate bank account than our other savings. So we earned a little bit of interest on that, and so we have $20,016.52. Next we have is Jacob's fund. Jacob gets $150 of personal spending money each month. I get $100. The only difference being because Jacob is just more naturally a spender and has things and hobbies that he likes to spend money on. I don't, and I don't really care to spend a bunch of money. So I am fine with getting $100 a month and him getting $150. But he spent $341.42 this month, so he's actually negative $117.94. Isn't great, Jacob. Not good. The way that I work all of our sinking funds is that I keep the grand total of all of them in one bank account with our banking, and then I just use my budget spreadsheet here to know how much is in each fund. I know that some people will have a bank account for each sinking fund, each thing they're saving for, which is totally fine as well. But when you see this and see that we're negative $100 in this fund, it doesn't mean that our bank account's negative. It's just the grand total of all of these makes up the total of that account. So negative $117.94. Next we have is mine. Like I said, I get 100. I spent $185.99, and so I have $622.47. See, I don't spend a whole bunch of money. I did spend some money this month though. Next we have is extra giving. We put $50 a month into extra giving, which allows us to be able to say yes to additional giving opportunities if they come up. So we now have $191.40. Then we have gifts. We budgeted $50. We put in 100, and we actually spent $132.40. We had some friends who recently had a baby this month, and also my cousin's baby had a birthday, so there was just some extra gift things that we ended up spending money on. Mother's Day stuff as well. So we were actually negative as well in this account, $54.05. Next we have vacation. We put $400 a month into. We're taking a few vacations coming up, and I'm really excited about it. So we've just continued saving, and we now have $35.98 in that fund. Next we have is Christmas. We put $100 a month into a Christmas fund. That way when Christmas rolls around, which is 6 months away, a little over 6 months away, we will have all the money set aside and needed for Christmas. So we now have $500 in that account. Next we have is medical. We put $25 a month into a medical fund, and we actually spent $70 this month, so we now have $114.32 set aside there. Next we have is car maintenance. We put $75 a month into car maintenance, and we actually spent $228 this month. We bought a car in August, and it only came with the valet key and then one key fob. And we had tried to get a different key fob cut for it. We bought one off of Amazon, tried to have it cut and programmed. And the locksmith that we went to said that the type of car we had, it was more complicated than that, and it ended up not working. And so because we had a new baby at that point, we were just okay, we're not going to worry about it right now. It was just too many things to worry about. But now we finally just got it done, and it ended up being a lot more expensive. But we had to have someone come out and make the key, cut it, sink it, and it ended up being a real pain, which is crazy because we've actually done this before on 2 other cars where we just bought the key off of Amazon and then took it to a locksmith who cut it and then programmed it, and it wasn't as much of a hassle. But for some reason this time it was a true hassle, but we paid $228 for it. And I think that for the other 2 cars that we did, I want to say that it was maybe $60 to do a key. So this was definitely way more. And apparently our car, which is just a RAV4, ended up being way more complicated in this. Who would have known? But anyway, we now have $98.71 in car maintenance. Next we have is house maintenance. We put $375 a month into house maintenance. The way that we figure this out is we take our house value, multiply that by 1%, and then divide it by 12 and save that amount each month, so that every year we've saved 1% of our house value into house maintenance to cover necessary house repairs. So this month we spent $40 on that, so we have $28.30.26. Next we have is household. We put $100 a month into household to cover things like toilet paper, paper towels, soap, detergent, all those sorts of things, toothbrush, toothpaste, all those. And we spent $88.39, so we now have $72.05. Next we have is baby. Also didn't turn out great this month. We put $100 into the baby fund. We spent $377.21 because I guess apparently the baby needs a lot of things. And doesn't need a lot of things. We just bought him a lot of things that he doesn't necessarily need, but we definitely spent some money. We bought a new travel stroller, which I was able to save money on, but I bought it to take on our trips because it is more compact. And then what else did I buy him? Oh, I bought a slumber pod tent thing for our trip as well, so that he can have a dark enclosed space to hopefully sleep when he's at the hotel with us. and a couple other things. It definitely added up. So we now have negative $284.79 in the baby fund. So that's not great. Okay, next we have is our brokerage account. So basically this is the big financial goal that we're working on. We are saving for retirement. We're saving at least 15% into retirement. We maxed out Roth IRAs in January for each of us, and then we're saving through our 401ks with Jacob's employer. But then besides that, we are also putting money into Peter's college savings, and then every extra dollar is going into this brokerage account. We don't necessarily have a set purpose for this right now, but when the opportunity comes up, and we'll figure out what that is when it's time, we'll have money in this brokerage account. So we are investing this money, and we put this month $1356.09 into the brokerage account. So this is like money that I'm setting aside, and then we'll transfer it out to be funding into the brokerage. And so I transferred out $600 because I had accidentally over transferred last month, but now we still have negative $313.86 in this fund. So next month I need to put even less towards the brokerage account because I'm negative in this fund right here. I don't want to do that. So I think that what we'll do with this money probably is get a new to us car in the next year, probably at some point. And that's probably what we'll use this money for. But all that to be said, our total sinking funds is $2,931.09. And then our total out, so this includes our expenses and our savings, is $8391.90, which equals our income at the top. And we have a zero-based budget. As you can see, this difference should be zero. Thing here shows that it's zero, and we have a zero-based budget. So our budget was complete for the month, but I still have to show you our net worth update for May. I love doing this net worth update and tracking because now that we are debt-free, this feels like a really great motivator to see like our net worth continue to increase every month. So let's take a look at it. So if you don't know, your net worth is made up of your assets minus your liabilities, or the things that you own minus the things that you owe. So let's take a look at our assets first. We have total retirement, which is now at $103,000. We actually had a small gain on this, market gain of $423. The market was pretty stagnant for the month of May. We definitely saw some decline, and then it kind of came up a little bit. So didn't have a bunch of growth, but just basically like almost what we put into it, plus a little bit extra that grew. So I'll take it. Next we have is our house. So we had our house at 521 at the end of the last month, but now it's up to 531, which is crazy. It's crazy. We bought our house for $420 in September of 2019, and it's crazy that it's gone up over $100,000. So I keep track of the value of our home based off of Zillow, which I know isn't the most accurate, but it gives me something to track. And actually, when we did the broker's price opinion, which they finished that, I think she came out in like April to do that, it was basically right at what Zillow said. It was within like $5,000 of what Zillow said. So I'm going to trust it and keep using that as our reference of valuing our home. So 531 is what Zillow had us at. Next we have is our emergency fund, which is in that separate bank with Ally as our high yield savings, which was $20,016.52. Then we have our taxes fund. Since I am self-employed, I do set aside money for taxes. Right now we have $10,000 in our tax fund. Next we have is additional sinking fund money at $72.56. And then we have Peter's 529, which is at $31.29. And then we have that main brokerage account that we're putting every extra dollar into right now, which is at $14,668. And then the additional brokerage account that we have for Peter, which is at $38.36. Next we have is Robinhood. I do have a Robinhood account with some single stocks in there, kind of just for fun. So that is at $18.99.99. Next we have is our HSA. We are no longer on a high deductible health plan, and you can only have an HSA with a high deductible health plan, so we can't put any more money into it. So we've basically just been using up what we had because we had such a low amount that it wasn't an amount that we could invest because it was so low. So right now I have $28.79 in our HSA account. I'm sure that we'll be rid of this thing in the next couple months. Next we have is the Toyota Corolla that we have at $98.51. So this actually went down this month. I know that it's just like the world has been so upside down in the last year and a half that used cars, which typically go down in value, have actually been going up in value. So we've seen our cars, both of our cars, go up in value over the last year. I think this is the first month that I've seen like a decrease in it, but I check the value of our cars with Kelley Blue Book and record it here every month. But the value of our RAV4 actually did go up in value, so that's now at $17,000, which is crazy. So our total assets or things that we own is $721,784. And then our only liability, the thing that we owe money on, is our mortgage, and that is now at $389,358. So we now have a net worth of $332,425, which went up over $14,000 this month. I think that was a pretty great month then. And I know that $10,000 of that was just house equity value. But speaking of house equity, I have this other little formula down here that I was more looking at before we had dropped PMI to see if we were within that 20% range so we could drop it. But house equity, I now have it $141,000, which is crazy because we only put $20,000 down and we've just been paying our normal mortgage payment. I think we did pay an extra like $5,000 to the principal over the last year, but that was it. And then that is almost 27% equity in our home, which is great. So that is our total net worth update for the month of May. Even though we had some budget busters, you guys, I think I'm just going to need to adjust the budget going forward. And I'm looking forward to seeing our net worth increase as well, hopefully. So with that, thank you so much for hanging out and watching this video. Don't forget to check out my budget spreadsheet with the link in the description box down below. And I will look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. Bye.
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know.